Guys had fun. Guys played hard. Guys swarmed to the ball. You know, I was excited for the guys to be able to go out and have a performance like that. And, you know, they deserve the credit with how they performed during the week. But then just being able to go out and execute and communicate. It starts with alignment. It starts with assignment. It starts with communication. So just seeing them out there flying around having fun was exciting.
What was it like for you?
It was good. I mean, you know, it had been a few years since I called a game, but I've called it at various points. So usually you get a little bit of time to get into the swing of things, so to speak. But it was good. It was back. You know, after the first series, you kind of fall into a routine when you've done it before. So it was exciting.
Coach was talking about players kind of getting scores or graded individual games, individual plays. What do you guys use that information for? And kind of who's in charge of all that kind of stuff?
Well, the position coaches are. Just when you grade the film, you grade them in terms of just whether they're executing their assignments or not. But then you also grade the production. Because the one thing about defense, there's the do your job being your gap, but then there's also, hey, are you a productive football player? And generally, guys who can be in their gaps and be productive are the really, really good ones, like Blake Cashman. You know, he had a very productive evening. So, that was what we needed from a football team and a defense to be able to have success, and we need that again from him again this week. So,
when you have a guy like Blake Cashman, how much value does that provide with what you can do, like schematically with him?
Yeah, he provides you a couple situations. Number one, because of his versatility in coverage. You know, sometimes linebackers are a liability in coverage, and he isn't. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is he's very good in space. So that carries over, and then also just being able to blitz and just do some different things with him. So it's nice to have that flexibility.
Is that one of the better individual efforts? I mean, it was a great team effort, but
Sure.
For him personally that you've seen as a coach?
Yeah, no, I mean, I got to be honest, you know, before last week, my head was kind of on those front four guys. So I hadn't necessarily graded him before, but I would be hard-pressed to think that he had a better game this year than that. So.
Do you have certain ringleaders or leaders that you look to kind of look at the assignment and alignment to kind of be the ones that get the guys in the right spots?
Well, you know, in the back end, it's tough. You know, he's able to. He's the most experienced and the most senior guy back there, and he's able to kind of get it going. And then Thomas Barber up front. You know, I don't. You know, I've only coached him a week and a half, but I'd be hard pressed in my 16 years of coaching to remember a guy who was a smarter football player than him. I mean, he knows the defense and he knows offenses, and that's really nice to have, especially in a situation where you're kind of coming into the group and don't know the group as well as you would if you would go through a spring and fall. But I would say Thomas is the guy from the front seven that gets everything kind of set.
Did Purdue 0 for 12 on third down? Did that surprise you when you saw that stat?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you could do that, and I don't know that in my career of calling defenses that's ever happened before. So it was a surprise, and they're a really good team. And you know, guys, let's not bank on offers every week. I'm just going to tell you, because those don't happen very often. But also, as the game went on, we got to feel that our guys got some confidence, got to feel that they were executing the calls, and that they were able to mix some things, and that's what led to the success. So,
when you look at Northwestern's offense, what challenges present?
You know, the thing that stands out is this: they had been throwing the ball a lot more earlier in the year. Last week, they made a recommitment to running the football, and they had more success than they've had. And I think number one, it had to do with weather, and number two, they felt like, hey, this was just the best way for them to go and win some games. So I was really impressed with the steps they took last week in terms of the run game. But prior to the last few weeks, they had been a team that thrown a little bit more than run it. They have versatility. They spread the ball around. They get it to all their different receivers. The quarterback's got a lot of experience. He can make all the throws. So they're a pretty balanced team, but like anything, it starts with being able to control the line of scrimmage and force them into obvious passing situations.
With two seniors up front and Gary and Jerry, what kind of things have they meant to this unit?
Oh, it's been, they've been great. The leadership they provide, because the group up front on the knee line didn't have a lot of guys that played a lot of football. The only other guy is Winston, who's played a lot of ball. So, those guys have provided a lot of leadership, just how they handle themselves. That group, is probably in my top three of favorite groups to ever coach. And, I've coached all positions on defense, but I just love how they go to work and how they prepare, and they've all gotten so much better. It wasn't a situation where you walked in and said returning starter, all conference. And if one time early in the season, I went back and I showed them the spring game, and I said, look at this. look how much better you are right now than you were in the spring game. So the kind of the springboard for that was Jerry and Gary, so they're very valuable.
Have you seen any extra juice from the seniors, this being their last home game?
Yeah, today I was very, very impressed with practice today, just because of the communication, the excitement level. Guys were flying around, they were talking. When a defense talks, it usually means they're confident, and when they're confident, that means you got a shot. You know, so, and it was mostly the older guys out there today that were kind of leading the way, so.
Your linebackers played as fast as we've seen them play in Big Ten play. How much do you think they benefited from just a different voice in that linebacker room?
Well, I think, you know, obviously you can look at that as one of the reasons. The other thing, I think, is just how they saw what the situation was and said that they needed to play better. You know, they felt like that they didn't have their best game the week before and said, we need to play better. And we talked about it as a defense. You want to play better, play better. Well, how do you play better? Well, you prepare better, you practice better, you study film more. You know, we spent a lot of time going over the game plan, going through calls, going through checks, and we just kind of felt like going into the game that they had confidence. And when you have confidence going into the game, it allows you just to go out and play fast. So,
What element did Chris Williamson kind of provide to that secondary in his role last week?
you know, he did a great job. And, you know, the thing we talked about, number one, great job. Number two, there's way more in there. And he has a lot of potential. And so it was an exciting first step, and we're excited to see even more. And, you know, his role is this year finishes and transitions into next season. I think he could really step forward. But to see him be physical, to see him be confident, those were things that were exciting because we need him.
You guys have any more?
What have you seen out of Philip Howard in the defense secondary this week?
He's fast, he's athletic, and he has good feet. And that's always usually a good combination to cover people. So we'll see as he progresses, and it's been a great start. But I know, like I said, he's fast, he's athletic, and he's got good feet. So we can work with that. And I think that obviously the man skills will come the fastest because that a lot of times has to do more with just natural ability. The zone, you know, the run fits, those types of things will come with reps. But we've been excited.